Welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways. We're going to talk about body fat and mental programming. Fitness Twitter blew up a couple days ago about whether or not 15 or 20% body fat is healthier. Of course, the first question is male or female? You know, that doesn't seem to be the first question anyone asks. And, you know, for example, 6% body fat on a male is really lean. It's still healthy, at least short term, but it's really lean. On a female, 6% body fat is, on an adult female, is past lean and not quite healthy anymore. You know, so there's that. 15% is obviously much healthier than 20% in general in a male population. With females, it depends on stage of life and what's going on in the body a lot. So we'll just, you know, we're going to leave that alone for the moment. 15% is still probably a little high. But of course, the measurements aren't always accurate unless you're using the float tank every day to measure your body fat percentage. You don't really know. You're using the probably the choke method, the neck, waist, hips, Navy method, or you're using a caliper, the pinch caliper, or something like that. Those are okay, but they're not accurate enough for me to tell you the difference between 10 and 15% body fat on different body types, different exercise types. You know, your waist to height ratio is probably a more important measure. But what's really funny about this is that the conversation goes into two directions from there. One is that most people are fat and aren't going to be able to stay fat because the world is ending, the supply chain is going, and there's going to be food shortages. And I'm like, you know, I don't really buy that, because what's going to happen is that more people who have less resources, economic resources, in the West are going to end up eating crappier food. You're not going to eat less food. You know, you're going to eat less meat. You're going to eat more Twinkies, whatever the version of Twinkies is, Life cereal, Reese's cereal, Oreo cereal, S'mores cereal, whatever the cheap crap is, Hot Pockets. Manufactured food-like substances that are low quality, high carb, made in a factory are going to be there, and they're going to be cheap. They're going to be way cheaper and therefore more enticing as people's budgets get tighter, okay? When ribeye is $15 a pound, people are going to buy ramen. Ramen is bad for you, but it's 38 cents, 39 cents a packet. So, yeah, you need to eat 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 packets because the addiction cycle and everything. But, yeah, it's still really cheap. So what's gonna happen is that the real foods, single ingredient foods, the meats, the vegetables, the other plant stuff that's trying to kill you, whatever it is, those are going to get more expensive, but the manufactured food-like substances are not. Those are going to stay nice and cheap, and people are going to eat more. It's going to be bread and beer, beer and bread for the lower classes. That's pretty much by design. And this is the other side of where the conversation went. A lot of people are like, well, Americans especially, but Westerners in general, but Americans especially, don't have the mental fortitude to get and stay healthy. Well, okay, you know, fair enough, but why? What is it they need to have the mental fortitude to do? It's not to get healthy and stay healthy. It's not to go for a walk. It's to fight 24-hour a day, 7-day a week, 365-day a year programming. Marketing psychology really works. It is a billion-dollar industry, and it really, really works. Marketing psychologists can addict you to stuff while you're still a baby. That's really an intent, a goal of marketing psychology is to control your behavior, the behavior of other people. I have this argument with libertarians quite often because libertarians are all about, individual freedom, but they don't believe that a corporation can go out there and actually control your behavior and take away your free will through addiction responses. Well, it's there. This is known pretty well. There's variations in humans, and there's limits to how far you can take this, but most people can't lose weight because everything they do from wake to sleep, every environment they're in, everything about modern consumerist marketing life is designed to feed them constant bad food. Just constant inputs. Starbucks or Dutch Brothers or whatever. You don't get coffee anymore. Even if you drink coffee, drinking coffee is not good for you. It just isn't, okay? But even if you just are going to drink black coffee, that's really rare now. You're supposed to get a Venti triple something with 5 different kinds of sugar pump syrups and some sort of mix made out of casein powder with gluten and starches and stuff to make it all fluffy, and you don't just get coffee anymore. And what about the pastries? Oh yeah, you gotta have the pastry. You gotta have the pastries with it, but that's okay. You don't want to eat donuts because they're not healthy, so have a blueberry muffin instead. Whatever, chocolate croissant, everything bagel. That's the equivalent of like 13 slices of bread in dough form, like into one small brick. And then, of course, you can't just eat it plain because it tastes horrible, so you got to put a bunch of crap on it. That's just your morning. And then it goes through your day, all day, all day, all of your inputs. If you watch any kind of programming, even whether it be on a streaming service or on cable or whatever, you get inundated with food crap. Food is part of the morning news shows. Food is everything, everywhere, and they're constantly pushing crap food on you. If you have an emergency, if you have a stress, and the marketers love stress. The media loves stress. The whole reason people watch news at this point is to see what they can be stressed out about because they feel lost and empty if they don't know what they're outraged about. Well, what's the stress response? Treat yourself to some ice cream. Go out to Outback, have a bloomin' onion. The stress response is food. Feed yourself. It's everywhere, everything. Your regular programming, what they call TV shows. I don't know what they're called now, streaming shows, whatever. Serialized shows. They are full of cereal. Everything around American consumerist culture is designed to keep you eating unhealthy food. It's like those ads for alcohol that are like, oh yeah, by the way, drink responsibly. No, you want me to drink 24 Coors Light. You don't want me to drink responsibly. You want me to drink 24 a day for the rest of my life because that's your share price. Bread and beer and bread. So they might say drink responsibly, eat responsibly. This is part of in moderation, this is part of a nutritious, healthy diet. No, they're not. It's not designed for moderation. It's not designed for you to eat one Dorito and put the bag away. You're supposed to eat the bag and lick it when you're done. That's what they're doing. That's what the design is. It's very difficult to swim against that much of a current. It's very rare for a human being to be able to maintain a counter to that much programming on a constant, day-to-day, lifetime basis. Even the people who think they're free of it usually aren't. You can poke if you do any psychology at all. You can kind of poke and look at the programs and see them rise up. So you can change your society. You can change your personal society. You can change who you interact with. You can change how you go about doing things. You can just, you can't go out drinking with your buddies. You just have to find buddies who go do something else. It's very hard to find people who don't drink, but at least you can find people for whom your not drinking isn't an impact. It's kind of like going to a bar when you're trying to quit smoking, or it used to be, or whatever, I don't know. Up in Nevada, the state over there, you can smoke in bars still. I don't know. I haven't been to a bar in Arizona. since the 90s, so I don't even know. Anyway, you know, it's kind of like trying to quit smoking when you go to a bar. You can't go to a bar for that first 6 months. You just can't, you know. Most people, if you want to quit smoking, you got to change your life behaviors. If you want to quit eating crap food, you got to change your life behaviors, and that includes everything about your environment. Most people who are overweight, we have an obesity epidemic, are that way because they listen to the various authorities and social programs. Everything is out there designed to make this happen. The doctors, the normie doctors, are still telling people to eat organic Twinkies instead of meat. Whatever the organic Twinkie actually is, whether it's, you know, some sort of bread with canola oil, or whether, I don't know. It's still organic Twinkies. The idea of eating good, healthy fats in large quantity, separating your protein and your carbohydrates, none of the stuff that's actually real makes it out of the doctor's mouth. Okay, most nutritionists are absolutely horrible with this, and it's kind of interesting to note that very few of the nutritionists that I've seen, I'm a VA patient, and I've seen dozens of nutritionists over time because it's just something they push. With one exception, I haven't seen one that I would say is under about 30% body fat. I mean, hefty, really hefty. And the one was a guy, and he was not thin, but he was still maintaining. He was in his 20s, and he was still maintaining. Like, he looked late 20s, just a nutritionist, not a doctor, just an RD. And he looked like he had about 10 more years of health before, poof, you know. So there's a lot of programming out there, and it is fairly constant. If you consume media, it's there. If you go on Twitter, if you go on Facebook, if you go on Instagram, oh my God, if you go on Instagram, if you go on that Chinese video brainwashing site, TikTok, whatever it is, it's constant. Food, comfort food, crazy food. You can't even get a set of keto recipes that don't include a bunch of weird ass manufactured factory food-like product ingredients, like weird starches, and they're actually taking wheat fiber and separating it out for the keto crowd, and I'm like, oh, wow. Like, nothing. You can't have simplicity, okay? You can't just have healthy food, because everything revolves around marketing and the factories. It's all about the factories, the corporate factories. Probably the pharmaceuticals too. But it's everywhere. It's constant. It's in your head 24 hours a day. It's not really a surprise people can't get past that. You have to change your environment and the society you're in to really get past that. Helping people do that is a fantastic thing. You need to do it from a positive point of view, okay? I think everyone can be healthy. It's our human birthright. But very few people can do it alone against the tide of society forever. That's all I got. Stay sideways.